All right, so this is always, in my view, one of the most exciting days of the year when we get to taste the first set of the new By Farr. So we're going to go through and taste 19 Viognier, 19 Chardonnay, 18 Farrside, 18 Sangreal and 18 Shiraz. Nick, we're standing in the newish barrel cellar. When did this get finished?
It's now 5 years old.
5 years,
yep.
Yeah. And all underground, pretty much?
All underground. So we had a lot of soil sampling, geological data put together to try and understand how deep this needed to be, what level of limestone there was in clay, and therefore what sort of humidity and moisture we retained in here, because an underground cellar is all about the humidity. So the higher the humidity and the lower the temperature, the less evaporation it will have from barrels, and just the overall calmness that seems to come across the wines when it's in a more stable environment rather than an air-conditioned environment.
And you were mentioning you also fermented all the Chardonnay down here this year.
We have for the first year we have fermented all barrels down here, and we can already see a liveliness about those wines that's just starting to poke its head out after vintage and after Malo sort of have stopped for the winters, and it's very encouraging to see the structure of those wines seem to be just that little bit tighter because it's been able to maintain a cooler temperature during fermentation.
Great. So 19 has a white finish starting with Viognier?
It's really quite surprising to me that these wines have the sort of structure and freshness that they do, because 19 was a vintage where we just were on the hop the whole time, and to have the heat waves that came through and to then revert to picking at night, having 30 pickers with headlamps, picking at 1 or 2 in the morning to try and have fruit that maintained structure and the physiologicalness of that fruit to maintain its sharpness, meant that we had to pick it in the coolest periods we possibly could, because by the time daybreak came and we were 30 degrees at sort of 10 o'clock in the morning, we're getting quite dehydrated fruit. So the aromatics of these wines just looked superb, because I think there was that general warmth that developed over veraison, but we're able to maintain great flintiness and structure, which has then given these wines quite a deceptive length and understated power that we like to see in all our wines. But it's that exoticness in the Viognier, I think, that's really starting to show through, and you get that in those warmer vintages.
Exotic is a really good word for it. There's certainly a lot of that. We mentioned apricot as a descriptor earlier, but it's more apricot blossom. It's a lighter version, and it's a spiced version as well. Certainly a lot going on, and it's a lovely richness as well.
I think that blossom character, then in cooler years, that becomes more ginger spice, and there's therefore the savoury vintages, yet these are the more expressive fruit vintages. So I just love the way this dances across your palate. It just had this liveliness and this sublime sort of limey character that just continues after you've finished your mouthful. It's just a well-structured wine from quite a difficult vintage. So
2019 Chardonnay, you were talking earlier about there's an underlying flinchiness, almost a leanness to it, but then it's quite powerful as well.
It does. It certainly has this mid-palate strength about it, which I think is very Rural Valley. Rural Valley has this robustness, particularly in the Pinots, but this brute of a wine can become quite fine and delicate, and that's what we're trying to embrace in all of our wines. It's finding elegance in what is Rural Valley fruit. So we're not overly looking for more concentration in the vineyard. We naturally have so much structure and concentration. It's about bringing a level of elegance and seamlessness to all our wines.
It certainly doesn't look like a wine from a warmer vintage.
No. And that, I think these are the years that we really want to shine. It's the more difficult vintages, whether it be super wet, super dry, super hot. If we can shine in those vintages, I think it shows how valuable these sites are.
Yep.
But in warmer vintages, we're certainly seeing that slight flintiness and matchsticky, slight sulphidey character on the nose and then underlining on the palate. It's rather than that lime and citrus character that's more dominant in the cooler vintages.
I probably know the answer to this question, but it doesn't look like there's a lot of new oak there. How much would there be?
1/3.
1/3.
1/3
So
new, 1/3 1-year-old, 1/3 2-year-old.
Yep. And after all this time, are there favourite coopers that favourite levels of toasting that you lean towards? Is it still an experimental journey?
It is a little, because perhaps we were using 40, 45, maybe 50% new oak and using a medium toast.
Yep.
And now using only 1/3, 30% new oak, we're tending to use a little bit more of the medium plus.
Yep.
So particularly in the more savoury years, we like going definitely a medium plus, where it just brings a little bit of sweetness and softens that savouriness. But then in a warmer year like this, then we're certainly looking for a more savoury, sappy, less influential toasting on our barrels.
Okay, so the 2018 red, starting with Farrside, so 18, bit of a dream vintage scenario really for you?
It was initially.
Initially, yeah.
It certainly got tougher by the end. It was perfect storm. Had perfect spring rains, canopy looked amazing, and then the end of February into March, 24 degrees every single day, no wind, so everything ripened very quickly. So there was a lot of emphasis on when to pick By Farr, when to pick Far Rising, and the By Farr's perhaps the smallest gap that we've seen between Sangreal and Farrside is only 2 days, but typically it's 2 weeks. But it has substantial power.
So talk to us a little bit about winemaking with Farrside.
Farrside, there was perhaps a little bit more manipulation, trying to drive a certain style in the early years, so 01 through to sort of 05, 06, and when it was a younger vineyard, we were trying to push the boundaries and see what this vineyard was capable of.
Yeah.
And with that, we thought that the style of this wine was to be quite robust, quite meaty, dark fruit spectrum, but as this vineyard's now over 15 years of age, we're finding that there's an elegance about the fruit, and I think this is a true sign that the maturity of the vineyard is there now.
Yep.
And the vine is in harmony with where it's been planted and the amount of nutrients and moisture that's available to it, and therefore a lightness seems to have come across this wine. It's not quite as hairy, as furry, the tannins, and I'm loving the elegance. It's still a wine that perhaps is best after sort of 18 months to 2 years of bottle age.
Yep.
But it certainly has a presence about this wine. There's a weight about it that is undeniable.
Certainly, from what we've seen, if there was a perceived gap between Farrside and Sangreal, that has closed right up, insofar as now it's really down to a personal preference for most people, whether Farrside is a favourite one year or Sangreal, and I know that personally I oscillate between the two. A lot is made of the whole bunch aspect in the Farr wines. That to me, I wouldn't even comment on it being a bunchy wine. It's got concentration, it's got prettiness, it's got fineness, but you can get really bored with the whole conversation. I think you probably do as well.
Yes.
The whole conversation about the thing, because it's actually just got lovely balance and poise straight away.
And that's what we're trying to achieve. Yep. We're trying to make the greatest wine we can from that site without determining this is what this wine is made of.
Yep.
We want people to look at the wine and say, I like drinking it, or I don't like drinking it, whatever comes to mind. But certainly the gap between Sangreal and Farrside has closed in reference to the fineness, the delicacy, the sort of mineral components that we've always seen in Sangreal is now starting to see in Farrside. So I think, again, it is coming down to vine age. It's the one thing we didn't have. I think we've made some great wines in the previous 10 years, but it's the next 10, 15, 20 years that we're most excited about.
Okay, so next one is Sangreal. I'm just having a quick preamble off camera about this wine having a particular character that's really distinctive, and it goes to a deeply sort of rooted, if you like, ironstone, iodine, red earth character, and it's a very, I think it's one of Australia's most distinctive wines for that reason, this particular. And again, it seems like in this 2018 version, it's ever more so. It's just everything that you would associate with that vineyard.
It's emphasised.
It's emphasised ever more so, yeah.
And I think we can contribute that to the fact that it was this idyllic growing season. Everything seems to be emphasised in those years where the vine has less stress, everything seems to be in balance. The canopy to the fruit load, the sugar to the acidity, and we make wines that are in harmony in vintages like that.
Is there a vintage that you compare it to? Would it be like something like 08 or 2012?
08 finished warm, otherwise, yes. 12, I think it's certainly got the structure of 12, but the one that comes to mind is perhaps 04.
04?
Yep.
Okay.
It just has that presence of fruit. There's enough for you to be intrigued by what's going on in the glass and continue to put your nose over it, but then it's that layering of structure, that complexity that just builds and builds in your mouth. And Sangreal is certainly that classic peacock's tail phrase of Pinot where it just gradually builds, it becomes broader and broader until the point where it's like, wow, can it go any further?
Yep.
Which is quite different to something like Farrside, where I think Farrside, with its mineral and earthy or savoury components, perhaps does the opposite. It actually retracts and just gets tighter and tighter.
Yep. Delicious, well done. Nick, talk to us about 2018 Shiraz.
This is perhaps my favourite Shiraz that I've made.
Wow. Okay.
The subtleties of this wine, forgetting that it's even Shiraz.
Yep.
The earthiness, the complexity, the length of this palate is everything that I want to find in my wine. So I'm always drumming on about what else this wine has other than fruit. I don't want to get bogged down on what flavours we can see in the wine. It's more about how well this wine will suit different food dishes.
Yeah.
And this has an amazing array of flavour and fruit, which I think will complement so many different styles or drinkers of Shiraz. So there's a touch of Viognier, 4% was co-fermented, so we did get away from co-fermenting for a period. We'll then cold storing Viognier in a cool room waiting for Shiraz, but now we're back to where we will pick Viognier with the Shiraz and make sure there's always co-fermented, because there's so much emphasis on the skins of Viognier and what that attributes to our wine, and it just gives it a delicacy and a deliciousness in that mid-palate that is just undeniable.
Again, and I'd say across all 5 wines that we just tasted, particularly the reds, there's a composedness about them. I don't think that's even a word. But what I'm getting at is it seems like everything is really well integrated. Oak, season, terroir, variety, everything's just coming together. They look like wines that will go the long haul, but if you want to drink them tonight, they'll also be utterly delicious.
Yes, I don't find these as tight wines that people are going to say, oh, give it time, give it time. I find this as a vintage, the 18 vintage, that is perhaps my favourite vintages, where you can see the deliciousness and the structure, and you can see how well this wine is put together, to the point that I have to drink it now, but gee whiz, it's going to age so well in the future. So it's a very sharp vintage. It's a vintage that we should be proud of, and they don't come along all the time.
Yep.
So we can't wait to see what the response is.
If you need any more information about these wines, you can go to our website, which is cellarhand.com.au, or at CellarHand Wine on any of the social channels, or you can contact, as I always say, your friendly CellarHand representative in Melbourne. And thank you for watching. Cheers.